Hello, everyone. How are you all? Good to see you. I'm going to check if my sound is working. Just give me 1 second. I hope you're all doing well. I can't see it yet, so hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me know. I'm just trying to check if I can see. Actually, I know what I'm doing wrong. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. It is? Okay, good, thanks. I was just going to check. Thank you very much. That's good to know. Wow, from Egypt. Hello. What is your name? I feel like I can't see properly today. Let's put the glasses on. How do you say your name? Is it Syed? Is that your first name? Let me know if I have it right. Something really exciting happened. Okay, Syed. Am I saying it right? Good to see you. I'm glad you like my videos. I want to make more, and I'm planning on making more as soon as I can. Just trying not to make any noise here. Something exciting happened in the Skool community, my Skool community. We have one new member, which is really exciting. He may or may not join us here. I don't know. He might be here now. I'm not sure. Anyway, you study geographical information system. That sounds really interesting. I don't know if I really know what that is. Geographical information system. Sounds interesting. I don't like the reflection on my glasses, and I think they've gone a bit crooked, these glasses. So I'll take them off for now and see how I go. Tell me what that is. Geographical information system, or maybe it's systems. That sounds very interesting. We have some people that watch this channel that do really interesting jobs. Are you saying that you want to come to Australia? Is that what you mean? I would love to help people who want to improve their English for sure. And in the Skool community that I've started, we are talking about Aussie life and Australian things. English, yes, but it's more just practicing English. Which city do you want to explore? A city in Australia? If anyone has any specific questions, let me know. It has been very windy here today. Very, very windy. And it started off cool. The weather was cool and quite nice. And then the cloud lifted. So the cloud burnt off is what I would say. And then it got quite humid, and then the wind came and it cooled down. I'm wondering what the weather is like where all of you are right now. I'm not quite sure what you need help with, Syed. Let me know. Is it English? You want to learn English? Tell me specifically what you need help with. I was even thinking for this live, I wasn't sure if it would be helpful for people, but I was thinking of giving you some vocabulary that is harder vocabulary. And then I thought perhaps I could look at this. I don't know if you've seen this. It's the top 3,000 words in English. And so I looked at the B2 level, and I started looking at the B2 level, and actually I wasn't sure. I sort of felt like some of these words weren't as advanced as I thought some of you might need or want. So, Syed, you've learned English. You've learned English, and you want to live in Australia and study in Australia, and also travel in Australia. Is that right? That sounds like a great plan. So, when are you coming to Australia? I would love to know what your plan is. So I know that some of the people that are here now talking in the chat are from Egypt and Iran. Have we got anyone else? Where are you from? If I don't know, please tell me. Syed, I'm not sure if I understand what you mean. I don't know how you mean that. You might want to explain it in a different way. So if people have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I have some topics to talk about. That's a good question. Okay, so the question is, what are some polite ways to start a conversation with locals in Australia? That's a great question because Aussies love to have a chat. And you'll find that especially the case in country areas, but also in the city as well. But especially in the country, people will stop for a chat. In the city, sometimes people are a bit more busy and they're like going places. But overall, town, country, city, people will stop for a chat. But how do we start a conversation? So it depends where you are. So one of the ways that we've talked about is you can just say, "G'day, how's it going?" So that can be a way to start a conversation. But a lot of Aussies will just say hello. And so if you say, "G'day, how's it going?" sometimes that won't then lead to a conversation necessarily. It might just be hello, and then that's it. So if you want to keep going, let me think of a good way to do it. The first thing I've thought of is, let's say if someone has like a great hat or something, so you can compliment them on something that they're wearing. So it could be like your hat. So you could say like ya. So ya is your, like your hat. And then the next question could be like, where'd you get it from? So that would be a very specific thing that you're basically giving someone a compliment, and the compliment might lead to a conversation. Of course, you would want that to be genuine. So if you really don't like the hat or whatever it might be that the person's wearing, perhaps choose something different. There was something else I thought of before as well. So the other thing that Aussies will talk about a lot is the weather. So for example, I was in the supermarket the other day and it was raining outside, and someone said, let me think if I can think exactly what words they said. They actually said, nice bit of rain. Australians love the rain. You'll find some people that get frustrated with it, and it depends where you're living. But most of the time, people really love it when it rains in Australia, because it does get very hot here. And in some places we have periods of drought. So then you'll end up where people will say things like, if it's raining, people will say, people might say, good for the farmers. Good for the farmers. Or they might say, the farmers are like this bit of rain. Now, let me check the chat because I can see some people have said hello and I haven't said hi yet. Okay, hello. So we have someone in Turkey. Good to see you. I'm trying to remember everyone. So Ahmet, you're from Turkey. And actually, is that the right way to say Turkey? I don't know if it actually is. You can tell me. So it's the south of Turkey. I have not been there. That is so interesting. Don't mind me keeping notes of who's around. If I don't keep notes and refer back to them, my brain is like a sieve. You know what a sieve is? It lets everything drain through, and you don't want your brain to be like a sieve. Let's have a look. Let me see what I've missed in the chat. Hi, Dan. Good to see you. How's the weather in India, Dan? Is it hot, humid, or is it cooling down? Syed, yes, the language in Australia, the Australian English that we speak, is quite different to the USA and England, and both of those places are quite different too. I am good, Dan. Thank you for asking. Oh, wait, are you asking me? No, I think you're asking Fazam in the chat. That's nice. Well, I'm good as well. I woke up with a headache today, so I wasn't good this morning. I think I didn't drink enough water yesterday. We've had hot days and cool days. And so on the really hot days, I think I haven't been drinking enough water. I'm just checking the chat. Oh, is it a tourist city, Ahmet, where you're from? That's interesting. I haven't been there at all. I would like to go. So the conversation in the chat is interesting because we're talking about who's in Australia now. So some of you are already in Australia and some of you would like to come to Australia. If you would like to come to Australia, if that's your plan, let me know. So Dan, you said it's winter. So what sort of temperature is it where you are at the moment? Okay, Ahmet, your city is, how do you say that? Antalya? It's very touristic. Interesting. So you must have lots of people from different places come through your city. So does that mean you hear all sorts of different languages of people, different people talking in different languages? I'm wondering if you hear English a lot. That would be interesting to know. Yeah, Australia is a good place. I feel very lucky. This morning when I woke up and I had a headache, there were two really loud birds outside my window, but it was a tree that's a little bit away from my window, but they were so loud, these birds, so loud. And because I had a headache, I was trying to remember how beautiful the birds are and how lucky I am, even though I thought, please be quiet. Is that, Dan, is that a top of 24 degrees? Like the warmest part of the day is 24 degrees Celsius? We also talk in Celsius in Australia. Because 24 degrees is quite a nice temperature. But if it gets very, very hot, then it can still feel cool. Oh, that's a good question, Fazam. Why do Australians often walk barefoot? So a lot of Aussies are happy just to walk around without shoes on. And that also includes going into shops. So you'll see people go to the supermarket and they don't have shoes on. And that's pretty common in Australia. And I've heard other people talk about it as well. I don't do that. I would not go into the supermarket without shoes on. And part of the reason is because I think you don't know if the floor could be dirty or if you could step on something sharp. So what if someone has broken some glass and then when it's been cleaned up, it hasn't been cleaned up properly? That's what I think about. I think I don't want dirty feet or to step on something. So I always I always wear shoes when I go out. And in fact, here's a good thought. Here's a question. When you're in your house or your place where you live, do you wear different shoes inside than outside? Because some people in Australia will say, can you take your shoes off at the front door? But a lot of people don't. And I don't understand why you would use your outside shoes for inside. I think those two shoes should be different. Did I answer the question? I think Australians walk around barefoot because most of the time it's hot, so you won't get cold feet. And people are pretty casual. Plus, let's say if you go for a swim, then perhaps you just don't put your shoes on afterwards. I don't know. It's Australia is a very casual, informal sort of place. So here you don't have to be very formal. So that's probably part of the reason that a lot of people will just walk around without shoes on. I don't really like that. I mean, I don't mind if other people do it. I don't care. But I wouldn't do it. I like to wear shoes. I'm looking in the chat. Farzam, did you say what if you step on a snack? A snack, like something you could eat. Is that what you mean? Oh, you mean like if there's food on the ground. Is that what you mean? What if you step on something that was food that someone dropped? Okay, now I understand what you mean. Oh, you did. Okay, you did not mean that. You meant a snake. Okay. Okay. That's exactly right. So if you're walking anywhere where there's long grass, you've got to be really vigilant. Do you know that word? Vigilant. You have to be very vigilant that there's no snakes around. That's a very serious thing that you have to be aware of. And in some places, it's more likely that you could see a snake. So you just have to be careful. Dan, what about Australia's temperature? Well, at the moment, it's spring. And so it's been changeable. It's been quite changeable. So in the spring in Australia, sometimes it's unpredictable. You can have very hot days. So there was a day last week that was, I don't know if it was as hot as 35 degrees Celsius. It was very hot. And I was working and it was a very hot day. And then, for example, this week, what temperature is it going to be this week? I think this week we have some cooler days. Maybe I want to say 30 degrees, like a top of 30 degrees. And then we might have some days that, it goes up and down a little bit. Farzam, is that a top of 14 degrees today in Melbourne? 14 degrees semi-cloudy. If that's a top of 14, that's a bit fresh. That's a bit cold. Dan. Okay, so the question is, are kangaroos naughty? I've never thought of a kangaroo being naughty. And I'm trying to think if they're cheeky. They're not even really cheeky. Kangaroos are really interesting. And also, do you know about wallabies? Wallabies are super cute. So wallabies are like a small, sort of cute version of a kangaroo. And where I live, I see more wallabies than kangaroos. Wallabies are more common. But a place that I used to live, there were lots of kangaroos, very big kangaroos, actually. Kangaroos are awesome. Where I used to live, where the kangaroos were, you did have to be careful because if they had a baby, they call it a joey. A baby kangaroo is a joey. You had to be careful that the mum kangaroo wouldn't get angry with you. So you had to give them space and go around them, which sometimes was hard because they would stand very close to a path that I used to walk on, and you'd have to try and go around as far as you could. Dan, did I turn the AC on? So I would also say aircon. You can say AC or you can say aircon for air conditioner. Yes, we had the aircon on in the classroom that I was working in. And some of the days we put it on first thing in the morning because it was already warm. And then on a couple of days we had the windows open, let the cool breeze in, and then we turned the aircon on later. Dan, yes, kangaroos are quite amazing. They can balance on their tail and then kick with their legs. And they have very, very strong legs. They're incredibly strong. So yes, you don't want to scare the kangaroos because they might get frightened and then they might think that you're a threat. Hi, Enda. How are you? That's okay. No problem. You're 27 minutes late, but you're not late because you can always watch this back later if you want to. Let me double check if I'm remembering properly. Oh, Ganesh is here too. Hi, Ganesh. Let's see if I am remembering. Enda, you are from Java, am I right? Hope I'm getting this right. Oh my goodness, I try to remember, but it's like too much information, and it doesn't mean. So let me put it like this. It's important to me that I remember who you are and where you're from, because if you tell me, yeah, Java, okay, cool. If you tell me, I want to remember because I think that's nice. And also I'm interested. I'm interested to know where people are from. But one of the problems is I also work in a job where I see lots of different people every week. So I'm trying to remember the names of my students every week. And I used to be very good at remembering names quickly. And now I'm not so good. But anyway, I will do my best. I'm wondering, everyone that's here, I'm wondering what jobs you do. I know some of the jobs that you have, and some of you have told me today, but I'm wondering what jobs you have. Let me check. I think I'm missing some things in the chat. Ganesh, I think it's just my skin. This is just my face. Is driving in Australia difficult? Driving. Oh, that's a good question, Fazem. Okay, Let me tell you what I think. In Australia, one of the things I actually like in Australia is I like that some people wouldn't like this, but I like this. I like that every so often when you're driving around, you will see the police also driving around. And they're not everywhere, but you'll see them on the freeway, highway, driving around town. And you'll also see that they're checking if people have drunk alcohol, because there's a limit that you can't drink and drive above a certain amount of alcohol. So they're checking that, and they're checking if people are speeding. And they're also checking, the police are checking, if people are doing the right thing. And when it comes to road rules, if people are driving safely. I actually like that if you do something in Australia that is wrong, the police should, in theory, catch you, and then you'll get in trouble. So that means a lot of people do the right thing, which means that people don't go too fast. Some people will speed, but most of the time people keep to the speed limit. So I think it makes our roads safer. I like that. When I was in Canada, I was really surprised by how unsafe some of the driving was. And also, people were very inconsiderate. They were inconsiderate. So that means that they were only thinking about themselves, and they were selfish. They were selfish in the way that they were driving. And so I prefer to drive in Australia. I didn't love driving in Canada. In fact, I felt quite nervous driving in Canada. Let me see. Enda, yes, I am a teacher. So I teach children during the week. And that's my 9 to 5 job. That's what I do. And it's good fun. The kids are very cute. Fazam, are you translating in? Do you mean you're translating in the chat? Yeah, I love koalas too, Ganesh. Ganesh, have you seen, there's an animal called, I can't remember if I've had this conversation with you before. Have you seen the quokka? The quokka is the cutest Aussie animal. It's so adorable. I love the quokka. I think it's so funny. Fazam, you haven't seen the police where you are? Just one time. Maybe you live in a safe neighborhood. That's actually good. Maybe that's what that means. Or maybe they're busy. I don't know. And the police are different in each state and territory in Australia too. How do I say this name? Is your first name, is it Nero or is it Nerobe with a B on the end? How do you say your name? Help me out. You're from Bangladesh. Wow. Is that your first name? Ganesh, you know the quokka. It's such a cute animal. In fact, the quokka does it only live on the island in Western Australia? How do you say your name? Nerobe? Nerobe? How do you say that? And you're from Bangladesh. That's really cool. And your question is, how can you improve your writing skill? Well, I think one of the things that you can do to improve your writing skills is actually similar to what you're doing here. So if you're writing in the chat, that's good practice. What else could you do? I think it's good to type, but it's also really, really good to use a pen or a pencil and to have a notebook. And even if you write something every day, that's really, really good practice. Even if you start with copying something, and then maybe if you are able to, just start thinking of things and just write them down. If you can do that in English, that would be really good. If this is helpful at all, friends, this live, feel free to give me a, what have we got, 100% or a heart in the chat. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. What? That's so cool, you guys. What? Amazing. Ganesh, do you mean, do I personally use LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram? Or are you also asking, do people in Australia use those? Because they are, I would say all of those are popular in Australia, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So I very rarely used LinkedIn. I sort of saw it when it first came out, but I haven't needed it for my type of work. Maybe I would use it in the future. Facebook, I rarely use anymore. Instagram, sometimes. And I have set up a Instagram related to this YouTube channel, but I just haven't been posting. So if I start posting, I'll let you know. I don't think I've put anything up there yet. Yeah. So Enda, good question. I'm sorry that I didn't let you know what time I was starting the live. I've noticed some people will advertise their live and they will put a post and let you know. I didn't tell people that I was going live because in the beginning, I felt like maybe I would feel nervous. And so I just wanted to get used to it without having too many people join. So I actually started the live at 5 p.m. Sydney time. So 5 p.m. So if it on Sunday, so it's Sunday for me. And I've been doing this for the last, is this my fifth? I feel like this is my fifth live that I've done, I think. Yeah. I'm looking in the chat. That would be very interesting to come to Bangladesh. I have not been to Bangladesh, and I'm trying to think. I need to look at the map. I'm going to look up Bangladesh on my map because I want to see what countries it's near. I think I know, but I might have it wrong. Oh, yeah, okay. Right, okay. So the closest I have been to Bangladesh, I haven't been to Bangladesh, but I've been to Nepal. I've been to Kathmandu. And then where did I go? I went to the Annapurna region. and I went to Chitwan National Park. That might be the closest I've been. And then I can't see where Pokhara is. I can't remember. It's been ages since I went to Nepal. But I would love to go to Nepal again. I would love to go to Bangladesh, India. I think that would be very interesting. But I don't have any plans right now. Speaking of plans, if you are not inside Australia now, if you are outside of Australia, do any of you have plans to come to Australia? And if you do, will you visit? Or will you come here to live? I'm interested to know. I'm pleased that you all can join today. Thanks everyone for coming to the live stream. Do you have any more questions? I'm happy to take questions or tell you something interesting about Australia. What would you like to know? I have some topics to tell you about, but I would like to know what would you like to know about? I have lots of topics, but I'm not sure what you would like to know about. Oh, that's an interesting thing. So, Enda, if I was to say the word can, I can do something. Or if I was to say the word can't, I can't do something. Those do sound different in Australia. I'm just trying to think the pronunciation. Yeah, in America, I think the pronunciation is quite similar. So it's difficult to hear the difference. But I would say I can do it, or I would say I can't do it. I would say yes, I can, or no, I can't. So it's almost like there's an R sound in there. Can't. I can't do it. Or I can do it. That's a different pronunciation. I don't know if that's helpful. Let me know. That's a good question. What kind of visas can you get in Australia? The thing about Australia is quite often the visa situation will change. So the type of visas you can get right now, you would have to do some research because there are different people I know at different times have had different types of visas. And I'm trying to think, like, there's different types of working visas you can get. There's a type of visa which I think young people can get, and that's called, I think it's called a working holiday visa, because some people will come to Australia, and because Australia is so big, they will work for a few months and then they'll travel and they'll work for a few months and then they'll travel again. So they'll save money, work in Australia, and then travel around the country. There are lots of different types of visas, but they do change. So I'm sorry, I don't really know what visas you can get at the moment. And it depends what country a person is from. It also depends on the type of work someone does. So there are certain, I think they call them skilled worker visas. So if you have a particular occupation, a particular job, and if Australia needs people in that particular job, then that might be an easy way to come into Australia, if you can do what we need people to do here. Enda, your question is, do I understand when Americans say the word can't? Yes, I actually can understand them. I can understand them. And part of the reason is because us Aussies, especially people, well, actually, let me think about this. I watched a lot of American TV, some Canadian and also British TV when I was little. And so we hear the different types of English, and then we can understand different people around the world when they speak English. And I would also say that there are people within Australia that speak with different accents. So I feel like I always was exposed to different types of English. So it's easy for me to understand different accents if people are speaking in English. It sounds like, are you saying, Enda, are you saying that it's hard for you to hear the difference with American English? I would say there are times that people do have to repeat themselves. So if someone speaks quickly, I would say, especially with little kids, when I'm teaching little kids, I might have to say to them, I might have to say it back to them. So I might have to say, did you say that you can or you can't? Because I might miss it. Oh, okay, you want a student visa. So you might be able to apply for a student visa in Australia. The only thing is, it depends. I think that student visas, I'm thinking about this, if you pay for tuition in Australia, it might be expensive. You would have to check how much it would cost for you to study here. And I don't know if you got a student visa, if that means it's open to different types of study. Like, could you go to university? Could you do a trade? I'm not sure. What do you want to study? And yeah, they sound quite similar. Quite similar. And they are similar, especially in American English, to say can and can't, but I say it a bit differently. So it is a little bit different, but perhaps just with practice, that might help you to hear the difference. And also, I mean, if you can't hear it and you're speaking to someone, you can always ask them to repeat it or check what they meant. Friends, we've got just a little bit more time. Is there anything else you would like to ask me about? Sometimes I will know the answer and sometimes I won't. But if I don't know, I will just tell you that I don't know. Yes, feel free to ask questions in the chat. So Ahmet, there's a noisy, what's that? It's a lawnmower outside. I don't know if you can hear it. Ahmet, you're saying you would like to visit many cities. Do you mean many cities in Australia? And you want to know the way Australians behave. What can I tell you? I would say that Australians overall are very friendly people. I would say for the most part, you'll probably feel quite safe in Australia. I feel quite safe in Australia, but sometimes in the city, it depends. Ahmet, are you asking, are Australians kind? And I'm trying to think what's another word for that. Like, I would say Australians are actually quite confident people. So Australians, Australians are friendly, confident, kind. I'm biased, obviously. I think Australians are good people. Of course, you can come across not nice people in different places. That can happen. It doesn't matter where you are. You have to be aware of different people. But people in Australia are very helpful. What else do you want to know about the way Australians behave? If you're a visitor, people usually are quite good at answering your questions. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Ahmet? Let me know. Yeah, and actually, Ahmet, when you come here, then you can make your own judgment and see if I'm right, and then you can let me know what your perception is. I have another question here. The question is, are you married? No, I'm not. Thank you for asking. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Thank you, everyone, for coming to the live. It's been really fun. Thank you for saying hi in the chat. If you don't want to write, if you don't want to, feel free to just like the video if it's been helpful, because then I know you're here if you're liking it, even if you don't want to write, and you don't have to. No, I don't have a pet, actually. When I was little, we had sheep, and the sheep had they were lambs when we got them, and those were our pets. So we had lambs as pets, and those are the sweetest animals to have as pets. Actually, lambs are lovely. Ahmet, you know what? If I had to choose cat or dog, I would choose dog. I'm not really a cat person. I once lived in a house with a cat, but it was not my cat. And it was a pretty nice cat. It sort of kept to itself. It didn't really bother me. But if I had to choose, I would choose a cute little dog that doesn't bark too much. That's what I would choose. Yeah. Dan, what is your lunch? So are you saying what did I have for lunch today? Today, it suddenly felt like it got cold, even though it wasn't cold. But because it was windy, the temperature dropped just a little bit. And it had felt quite hot and humid in the morning. Well, it was cool and then it got hot and then it got cool again. So for lunch, because I suddenly felt a little bit cold, and also because I had a headache this morning and I thought maybe I need to have more fluids, so I need to drink more. I didn't mean to. Can you see that? Can you see the thumbs up? I don't know if it's going to do it again. Anyway, I actually had like chicken noodle like soup, but it was more noodles than soup. A little bit of soup because I felt like I needed to warm up. So I had an egg with it, which was quite nice. So it wasn't super healthy, but it wasn't super unhealthy because at least I had some protein and I felt like I needed something to warm me up. And it did make me feel warmer. So that's what I had. I had noodles. In fact, it was a cup of noodles. I was busy, I was doing lots of things, and I wanted to have something that was easy. So that's what I had for my lunch. What did you have for lunch today? Have you had your lunch, Dan? What time is it for you? Everyone, I'm going to give us just a few more minutes and then I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any more questions, ask them now, and then I'm going to go. It is Sunday afternoon here. So tomorrow is the start of the working week. Back at it. I'm wondering what you're all doing for this week. I hope you have a lovely week. Yes, I agree with you, Amet. If I had some meat, I could have added it to the noodles. That probably would have been good if I had some chicken, actually. It was just chicken flavor. There wasn't actually any chicken in it. That's why I added the egg, to add some protein. So Dan, in 2 hours from now, it's your lunch. So you'll eat in 2 hours' time. Very good. All right, everyone. Well, I don't have anything else interesting to tell you about unless there's any last-minute questions that come through. If this was helpful for you, I will do my best to be back here this time next week. So 5 p.m. on a Sunday, I will do my best to be here live. So 5 p.m. Sydney time on a Sunday. We can just have a little casual chat. And also, if anyone would like to join my Skool community, inside the Skool community, there's a link in the description. In the Skool community, it's for people who want to improve their English, but also for people who are either in Australia or want to come to Australia. So people who want to learn about living in Australia. Now, having said that, the one thing I don't know about is I really don't know about visas. So I apologize. I really can't help you with that, but I can help you with practicing speaking and learning about Australia and the culture here. Here's a question. Do you have a farm? A long time ago, I lived on a property, which was like a small farm. It wasn't a proper farm, but we had farmers that lived around us. And that's how we ended up having little lambs that we looked after. So, good question, Dan. If it is after 12 noon, then I would say good afternoon. But good afternoon is usually when you say, it's usually the greeting. So it's usually when you say hello. So if I saw you and it was after 12, I would say good afternoon. But in Australia, you can also just say g'day at any time of the day. And if it was the afternoon and you're saying goodbye, you could just, in Australia, you could just say see ya, or you could say see you later. Or you could just say bye. There's also another word that I love that you don't hear so often, and that's huru. That means goodbye, but not many people say that. I like it when people do. So, do you mean, Dan, so good and noon together? I'm not sure if that's what you meant. You don't say that. And if you were saying goodbye to someone and it's the afternoon, you could say, have a good afternoon. And if it's close enough to the evening, I would say around 5 p.m. That's what I would say. I would say you could have a good evening. So have a good evening. And once it's after 5 p.m., that's when I would say good evening as a greeting. So if I saw someone, I could say good evening. I hope that was helpful. All right, thanks everyone. I'll see you hopefully this time next week. And like I've mentioned, I will be making more videos for you soon, but I'm so busy with work at the moment, it might not be for a few weeks. And I apologize, but this is the best I can do right now. So anyway, hopefully soon I can make some more videos for you. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great week. I'll see you again soon. Bye.